Now, sometimes the fake news network lays it on so thick that you can't help but start reading one of their headlines and then just start laughing because you know that they're not. It's like they're so just I don't even think there's words to express how unbelievably like full of shit they are. Like, okay, so here, I don't want to belabor this. New York Post says air pollution is making women fat, study shows. Now, I just want, before I even start reading this, first of all, I want to point out the fact that I lived in Shanghai, China. I lived in the People's Republic of China. Now, they still, and they're trying to get away, they're trying to get away from it, but they still burn coal. In fact, while I was there, I actually walked past places where they still had coal, where they would shovel coal into furnaces and they were burning coal and there was soot in the air from the coal. Now, if you had anything there, like a car, a bike, a motorcycle, whatever, if you decided to rinse it off, wash it off, right? It didn't take but like an hour for another thin film of dirt to be right back on it just from the atmosphere itself. I also had hypotheses that because of the high air pollution, that their cars' air filters would probably get clogged quicker, which is interesting because one thing I've noticed in America, our air filters in our cars seem to get clogged quicker because there's more air pollution in the air. I would also like to point out, and a lot of scientific studies showed this, that during the pandemic, when they locked everybody down, they didn't let anybody really do anything. They locked the entire economy down. We had noticed that air pollution actually started to go away. We had noticed that water pollution started going away. They have photos where they show like dirty, filthy waterways. All of a sudden, they're cleared up. Not only that, for the amount of time that they had us locked down, the fish and the shrimp and the crab populations, they started to repair themselves and the population started to come back in high enough numbers where now, these women on these internets are going wild with lobster and crab mukbangs, they call them. So when they're saying that they think pollution is making the women fat, I would think, I think more Al Bundy would say, no, it's not what you're wearing, Peg, that makes you look fat. It's the fat that makes you look fat. And all of us got extra pounds, so I'm not fronting, but for you to just try to blame air pollution instead of saying, okay, the reason why you're overweight is because you're not eating enough greens, salad, water, and you're eating too much sugar, maybe even too much meat. Now, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not telling you to stop eating meat at all because I love meat, but I'm just saying meat is high in calories and reducing the amount of intake in meat helps people lose weight faster. Maybe eat some soup, but they're trying to blame it on air pollution. Now, I've lived in the most polluted countries on earth, and the women there rail thin, super skinny. So if you think air pollution is what's doing it, maybe you might want to send this study over to China and possibly India, and ask them what they think. So anyway, looks like all that water weight might actually be from the air. Yeah, okay. Okay. A new study suggests that long-term air pollution exposure is linked to women gaining weight, particularly ladies in their late 40s and 50s. Observed women who were exposed to poor air quality, specifically higher levels of fine particles such as nitrogen dioxide and ozone, had seen increases in their body size, according to study author Xin Wang, an epidemiology research investigator at the University of Michigan. I have a question, Xin Wang. Did you do this exact same study in the most polluted parts of China or India? Because, it's funny, when I read your name, Xin Wang, I expected you to be a Chinese professor somewhere in China. Now come to find out you're in University of Michigan. I have an idea, Mr. Xin Wang. Let's go to Shanghai. I'll go with you. And what we'll do is we'll conduct your study in China. Or we'll go to India. We'll conduct your study in New Delhi. Or we'll go to the Philippines and we'll conduct your study in Manila. Or if you want to pick a very polluted city, let's just do it. And not a European city. You know why? Because Europeans are addicted to the same shit that America's putting in the food, whether it's the Coca-Cola sodas that have suddenly caused spikes in Saudi Arabian diabetes, or the McDonald's, the KFC, and all that extra shit, Starbucks, this, that, and other, that has caused obesity to rise in Asian countries that have traditionally, for centuries, had skinny women. I would say that it's not air pollution. I would say it's probably the Starbucks coffee. It's probably the Dunkin' Donuts. It's probably the Pizza Hut, the KFC, the McDonald's, the Burger King, the Taco Bell. I could go on and on. But okay, Shin Wang. Okay, let me finish reading your study. The exposure to air pollution was tied to higher body fat proportion, and lower lean mass for middle-aged women. Eureka Alert noted that body fat increased by 4.5% or about 2.6 pounds. Let me tell you something that just came to mind. Maybe the reason why these women have become obese because of air pollution is because air pollution is caused by easy access to cars. So instead of in China, where these women are on their bicycles, walking, or otherwise doing physical activity because most of them don't have cars, perhaps it's not the air pollution causing the obesity in these women. Perhaps it's the fact that they're driving cars instead of walking more. When I was in South Korea is not polluted at all. South Korea is very, very clean in the environment. But what I noticed was a lot more people there have cars than in China, especially the women. You see the women driving around, and they got nice cars. They're not cheap cars. They got the newest Kias, the newest Hyundais. But what I did notice was a lot of those women carry more body fat than the ones in China. And one of the things I noticed is in China, the women have very skinny legs, but they have messy fupas. And that's most likely because they're sitting on their bikes and they're riding, which means that they're strengthening their legs, but not their upper pelvic area. So, yeah, maybe the air pollution is coming from the easy access to cars, Mr. Shin Wang. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist here, but that might have something to do with it. The data came from a mix of 1,654 white, black, Chinese, and Japanese women whose median age was 50. They had been tracked for 8 years from 2000 to 2008. But my question is, where were they tracked and under what circumstances? Their residential addresses were used to measure the relative air pollution surrounding their homes as well, looking at connections between the two entities. However, exercise and physical activity acted as a deterrent to the effects. Oh, shit, really? Oh, big surprise, Shin Wang. However, exercise and physical activity acted as a deterrent to the effects in these findings. So what you're saying is it's not the air pollution, it's the lack of exercise. Maybe if they get off their couch and stop watching Netflix and those Korean dramas, maybe if they get off their couch and stop watching The View, maybe if they get off their couch and they stop watching these soap operas and these TV shows, and instead of being on the couch doing it, maybe if you position a treadmill directly in front of their soap operas and shows, and they're walking on their treadmill or running on their treadmill instead of sitting down and eating, perhaps, Mr. Shin Wang, perhaps your results would definitely show that it's not the air pollution, it's the inactivity. Wang also said that because the study had focused solely on middle-aged women, who, by the way, tend to get heavier and fatter, especially as they approach menopause, these findings can't be generalized to younger or older women or men. Oh, and that's it. That's it. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's it. You got to be fucking kidding me. I thought there was more. Guys, we already know the truth, Mr. Shin Wang. We know the truth. Inactivity is the reason why these women and these men are so overweight. Inactivity comes in many forms. Sitting in front of a computer playing video games, sitting in front of Xbox playing video games, sitting in front of PS5, sitting in front of TV watching The View, sitting in front of TV watching Korean soap operas on fucking Netflix, and you don't even understand Korean, but you're just watching it. Well, I would say, Mr. Shinwang, that if we could put a treadmill in front of the TV and people could walk while watching TV or run while watching TV, I would argue that air pollution would not be the variable that's causing these women to, gain weight. That's what I would argue. I would argue that if we replace all soda with water, and I would argue that if we replace all sweetened coffees with water, and if we replace rice with fucking kale or greens or spinach, and if we replace, let me see, what do women keep buying all the time? I don't know, pizza. If we replace that with a salad, I think everybody's problems would probably go away. But for you to just simply say it's air pollution, I don't think that's what it is.